Thank you so much. So hello, everyone.
Hi.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for Raya and the Last Dragon. Really, what a wonderful animation treasure. Rarely seen such a great mix of action, comedy, and emotion. Well done. What I found fascinating, yeah, you're welcome. What I found fascinating was the fictive kingdom of Kumandra, which was clearly influenced by many Asian cultures. So, how did you combine all the different influences of the Southeast Asian countries, and how did you make sure it still stayed authentic and balanced?
That's a great question, and I could talk about it for a long time. We knew that we had very early on, we had these 5 divided lands around the Asian dragon, around the Dragon River. And we knew that they were both united and separated in a sense by the river. And we started doing research and on a research trip to Southeast Asia. And, we're talking about 11 different countries with multiple cultures and races and religions and ethnicities in each one. One of the things that struck us right away had to do with the sense of community that we found, that there were so much diversity, so many different types of people, and yet people were working together and coming together, and the sense of we is so much stronger than the sense of I. And that was something we knew the movie was going to be about. We sat and talked about what we think is important in a divided world. What message do we care about? And that's about coming together for the greater good. And so once we did that, and of course we fell in love with the textiles and the architecture and the beauty, and it's just so magnificent, and the people. And so we decided that becomes the inspiration for our world, but not each land in Kumandra is a different land. Kumandra is a fantasy place. In our minds, the people started in one place and spread out. If we can identify some of the design principles that go across Southeast Asia, and there are many, and then apply them into how you think about Kumandra, you'll find, for example, that in Heart, everything's sort of circular, like a drop of water, because they're close to the dragon. But what if those people now live in snowy mountains? Well, they build differently and so forth. So it got very, very intricate. We get very into the details. So each land has its own sense of everything, colors and patterns and everything. So it was a careful act of choosing with our key creatives who are Southeast Asian, and with a group of experts who worked with us, anthropologists, archaeologists, textile experts from the region, who worked with us along the way to find that common thread.
It sounds so exciting. And I also find something exciting. This question goes to you, Adele Lim. You come from Malaysia, you have a Chinese ancestry, you have lived in the US for many years. That's an exciting mixture of cultures. So how did that influence your work?
I love that you pointed that out, because I've been working as a Hollywood writer for a while, but the Malaysian part of me had to be parked in a box because there really was no room for the story. And so being being pulled onto Disney, and when I came on, the directors hadn't quite decided to focus in on Southeast Asia, and that came on when I just joined. And I could not have been more excited, because you're right, with the different influences. When I was growing up in Malaysia, I watched a lot of Hong Kong action. So, I loved the idea of a strong female protagonist. If she was the girlfriend, if she was the mean girl or villain, she could still have a sword and she could still kick ass. And I went to a girls' school. And so, I had a lot of my key relationships as a young woman was with other women. And so, having Raya have this close relationship and friendship with Sisu be the heart of our movie, which is something you rarely see in a major Hollywood movie, was tremendous and exciting. And even her relationship with Namari, the other side of female friendship, someone you have a deep history with, who you knew as a child, but are now enemies, but you're also drawn to each other. That was an exciting dynamic to explore. But in terms of the culture, it worked on so many levels. First, all the respect and the deep steeping into it that was not brought up, but also on the Disney creative team, myself and Kui Gwen, my co-writer, our head of story, Fawn Verasunthorn from Thailand, in our story artists, in our animation, there were so many people who either came from Southeast Asia or had cultural roots there, who were already in the Disney system. So it was exciting for us to bring bring this new, this aspect that we grew up with, but we never had a chance to celebrate before into the Disney movie. So it's not just about the outside, history and culture. It's also our story of how we grew up, the foods we ate, our dynamics with our parents, and being able to infuse that in the script, but also visually. And even if we don't talk about it, that it is there in the texture that we hope you feel as an audience. And that if you come from the region, you can, you see that it's a love letter to them too.
Oh, it is. And you already said that Raya lives through strong and brave and complex female characters, be it Raya, also Sisu or Namaari. And this has expressive power. The women are not a love interest, they are heroes, they are warriors. Were you aware and clear from the beginning that it would be such a female-dominated film?
I'd have to say that having come off Moana, which started some of the direction, it was very clear to me that Raya is going to be an incredible driving force. And in that sense, yes. But it was only during the process that Sisu became so strong and became a female character as well. And even later, Namaari, which was at first she was just sort of the antagonist, and then we realized the depth and the interest that we can get there. So definitely for Adele and I, it was something just like that we just celebrated again and again and again. And I have to say for our directors and some of our other team members, they went with it. There was this almost unspoken, we didn't even have to say it, agreement in the room that we're treating them as heroes of their story and of their journey. Their issue is not their gender. Their strength may be their gender of how we might solve problems, but and that was something really, really proud of this team for.
Yeah,
and just to add quickly to that too, and that's where it's important to have, I think women in the room. So, that I had Osnat, it was wonderful because we could also see it in the world of Kumandra, which is in our minds, like what the world should be an ideal, that, there is a 50-50 split. If you look at our crowds, our armies, the people in the kitchen, that there is a split between the men and the women. And as Osnat said, being a woman for our hero is not seen as a drawback in any shape or form.
It's so inspiring, especially for me as a woman as well. So my last question is, which character in Raya and the Last Dragon can you identify with the most?
Oh, Adele?
Oh, this will not reflect well on me, but Namaari. It's funny because Raya is just wonderful and fantastic, and I feel like I want to be here in the best parts of me. But Namaari is sort of where I feel like that rage. It's so easy to look at the world and be filled with anger and rage, and and want to attack it. But but then her also realizing at some point when she's confronted with the truth of it, that sometimes the way we look at the world is flawed. So I feel like I could really identify with that arc.
Also, she's got like the coolest look. That's why, right?
Oh my gosh. And also her fashion, her styling.
Style. I guess for me, I thought I would want to say Raya, but one of our creative team members recently said to me, "Thank you for being Benja on the film." So I guess even though Benja's which really, really touched my heart, I guess he's very aspirational. So it's less that, but just the ongoing commitment to bringing everyone together to make this film, even when we hit pandemic, even when there were 450 homes we're making it out of, no matter what. I guess he's somewhat aspirational, but I'd say, yeah, Benja.
Great. Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for your answers. Thank you so much for your time. Again, thank you for Raya and the Last Dragon. Really, it hit me hard. I said crying on my bed while watching the screener. This was really everything to me. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time and have a great one.
Thank you.
Thank you.